Let's go. I'm going to get right to it. This is episode 473. I got it written down now. I know for a fact. Episode 473. And here's the thing. The marker of a good guest on the Joe Rogan Experience is their willingness to talk about UFOs. You can fact check me on it. Every single time there's an episode where people are willing to talk about UFOs, and they do, it's always a great episode. I don't know what it is. People who are willing to talk about UFOs are just better people. I don't know, more open-minded. And this episode is no exception. It's Marc Andreessen. Pretty sure that's how you say his name. It's episode 2010. Check it out. It's a great episode. And right now you're about to hear them talk about UFOs. And honestly, listen close to the way Marc talks about this subject. Maybe it's just me, but it sounds like to me he knows something. It sounds like he's been told about something. I don't know what, I don't know when, I don't know to what extent, but it sounds like he knows more than he's letting on. Very, very, very interesting. I'm not going to interrupt, but there's some points that I'll point out after where it's just like, does he know something? I don't really know. I have to bring you to the store before I do that. Of course, this is IamCoachColin.com. It's a great website made by Mrs. Coach Colin or Miss Coach Colin. I always mess that up. But she made the site and it's amazing. And if you want to get our newest design, which is the certified pure blood design. This is for the people who are unjabbed and proud. Go ahead and check it out. You can go to that design by clicking right here at certified pure blood, or you can go to America's Soul Not for Sale, the Soul Not for Sale, the regular edition. And I'll just show them all to you right now. Certified Pure Blood, America's Soul Not for Sale if you want that Soul Not for Sale with the American flag on top. Soul Not for Sale if you just want the white and black version, the anti-WEF stuff, and the Great Resist stuff. As I always say, don't join the Great Reset. Join the Great Resist instead. Crickets are disgusting. Trust me. Keep your gas stove. Keep your gas car. Don't allow them to force you into 15-minute cities. Join the Great Resist. That's all on IamCoachColin.com. And if you want 10% off, put in the discount code area, IamCoachColin, all one word, all capital letters, one L on the Colin gets you 10% off. And if you're someone who's purchased anything off of our website before, thank you so much. You are so appreciated. Now let's get right into the video. Let's go.
If I was going to cover it up, I would just start talking about aliens.
You know,
it's the best way to do it. Don't you think?
It's a crowd pleaser.
Do you have an opinion on that, or is this something that you find ridiculous until there's like real data?
I like living in a world where there are unknowns. I like there being some mystery. So I like
how far do you go? Do you go Bigfoot?
I don't know. I just I'm not even saying I need to have a point of view on them. It's more just by the way, there is a UFO right behind you.
Yeah.
You probably know all about that.
I'm obsessed with UFOs.
Lifting somebody right up into the air.
Look, there's one on the desk. That's the model of the Bob Lazar craft that he worked on supposedly at Area 51.
There we go. Looks familiar. Look, I want there to be mystery, right? I want there to be unknowns. Like living in a world where everything is settled, quote unquote settled. No. Let's have some mystery. I don't even know if I really want to know.
Really?
It's like I don't know.
Oh, I think if you know, that's just the tip of the iceberg of the mystery. I think knowing that aliens do exist is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, okay, did they engineer us?
Uh-huh.
You know, when did they start visiting?
Mm-hmm.
You know, are the stories from the Bhagavad Gita, is that about UFOs?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know?
Have they been here the whole time?
Yeah. Have they been here the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
Did they come every now and then and make sure we don't blow ourselves up? Like, what's the purpose?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in favor of
Come on, man. Right, you want to know?
Okay, all right, I'm in.
If anybody's going to know, you're going to know. So I'm going to call you.
So Elon says this. Elon says he hasn't seen anything.
Yeah, I'm super suspicious when he says that. Super
suspicious that they haven't told him, or that he's maybe playing a little hide the ball.
If I was him, I'd play hide the ball. Yeah. If I'm running SpaceX,
mm-hmm.
I'm working with NASA,
mm-hmm.
and I already got in trouble smoking weed on a Joe Rogan Experience. I would fucking play ball. Let's play ball. Aliens, I have no evidence.
No idea.
They sure are subtle.
Yep.
That's what he says. They sure are subtle. It depends on who you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you're one of those people that's seen those things, if you're like Commander David Fravor or if you're Ryan Graves, You know the Ryan Graves story?
No.
The fighter pilot, and they upgraded their equipment in 2014, and all of a sudden, because of the new capabilities of their equipment, they were able to see these objects at a far distance that were moving at insane rates of speed, that were hovering dead still at 120 knot winds,
Right.
and no visible means of propulsion. They don't know what the fuck they're doing,
Right.
and they were encountering them like every couple of weeks. And then there was some pilots were encountering them with eyewitness accounts. They say there's video footage of it, but of course nobody can get a hold of that. It's like the whole thing is very strange.
Okay, so here's something. So the a lot of people worried about AI are like, we need to shut it down before it like causes problems. Before
Right.
Like wake up the demon, cause an issue, get something on Earth that hates us and wants to kill us. Arguably the thing we should have shut down from the very beginning was radio.
Radio.
Right, because we've been like broadcasting radio waves for the last 100, 120 years, and the radio waves don't stop once they leave Earth's atmosphere. They keep going. And so we now have radio waves of human activity that have radiated out 120 light years.
Is that bad?
Well, depends. Are there hostile aliens within 120 light years? And so but maybe that was the original sin. And then of course television, of course, made that problem much worse.
Right. We would have to think of like a hostile, militaristic empire that took over a whole planet and then started exploring the solar system. Not one that we like to think of aliens as being evolved, hyper intelligent, beyond ego and war. They've bypassed all that, and now they're into science and exploration. And
well, here's the question though: is like, would aliens have a sense of humor, right? Would they like be able to differentiate between truth and fiction, right? And so, like for example, suppose they're sitting in their advanced alien base on Gemini 9 or whatever, and they're receiving 30 years, 20 years after the fact episodes of Fear Factor, right? And they think that you're actually like torturing people, and they figure that in order to preserve the human rights of humanity, they need to invade as a consequence of your show and take over and protect us.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, but if they don't have a sense of humor, if they don't know
even
this,
if they don't have a sense of humor, they can clearly see that these people are in a contest.
Why would they even have a concept of a contest? I mean, how silly is that? A serious species
It's competition.
Wouldn't do such things.
But a serious species started out as a dumb species.
No,
unless they're magic.
You're hoping that they understand these things.
Yes.
Because it would really suck to be the guy whose TV show caused the invasion. Right?
If there's anything, it would be American Gladiators.
Oh, okay, all right.
That would be the start of it.
It'd be like this species is so warlike they can't stop.
No, what would be like the start? What would be the one thing that would be like, that's enough? It would have to be news. It would have to be war. I mean, that would be, forget about Fear Factor.
Yep.
We're broadcasting, the images of the Vietnam War.
Yeah, or maybe they saw movies about alien invasions and they thought we'd been invaded by other aliens.
Right.
Yeah,
like what if Mars attacks is the first things they get?
Exactly.
So you like having the mystery of the idea out there. Like it's fun for you.
I don't want we need adventure, right?
If someone came to you, someone from on high, and said, "Listen, we have to promise you to secrecy, but we want to show you some things because I think it's pertinent to some of the things you're working on."
I'm in.
Yeah. Me too.
I'm gonna drop my.
Me too. I'm not telling nobody. I'll come in here and be just like Elon.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, sure, all subtle.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's just too interesting to know.
Yep.
But I think eventually I'd tell.
Yep.
I think I'd feel terrible.
Yep.
I'd feel a responsibility.
Yep.
Yeah.
Someday.
Well, that's what some of these guys are saying. Like Grush, he's saying that once he found out about the program, he felt like he had a responsibility. Like if they really have a crashed UFO retrieval program, like what? Why don't you tell people? Like you should not. The military companies shouldn't be the ones that have access to this only, and the whoever is determining that this is above top secret clearance and nobody can get a hold of it except for this very select few people. Like says who? This is something that involves the whole human race.
Right.
Like I know if they do had something, I would imagine that it's of interest to national security that you develop this kind of technology before the competitors do. That clearly makes sense.
So then what technologies came out of it in the last 50 years?
Well, if you want to go full tinfoil hat, there's a lot of speculation that fiber optics were developed after a recovered crashed UFO. I mean, I'm sure it sounds silly because there's probably a real paper trail to the development of fiber optics. But if you, the real kooks believe that. There was actually a website, a computer company called American Computer Company. And it was a legitimate computer company. You would order a computer with whatever specifications you want and they would build it for you. But they had a whole section of their website that was dedicated to crashed retrieval of UFOs and the development of various technologies. And they had like this tracing back to Bell Labs and why the military base was outside of Bell Labs when it was so far from New York City that it was really just about protecting the lab because they were working with these top secret materials that they had recovered from Roswell.
Don't you think it'd be more like trans fats, though?
What's that?
Trans fats.
What
or
about trans
like
fats?
Reality TV or like, LSD, population or SSRIs, like population control, suppression.
What do you mean? What do you say?
That they would derive from the alien technology.
Oh,
Don't
no,
you-
I think we figured that out on our own.
We got
Yeah,
that.
I mean, there's plenty of paperwork on that.
We got that ourselves.
All the way back to MK Ultra. Like, let's find out. Let's find out what happens when we do this. If that's, I mean, that if there's any kind of experiments in population control, that's all pretty traceable now, right?
Okay, so that's domestic.
Yeah.
So the bad stuff.
Have you ever looked into any of that stuff?
The bad stuff is domestic.
Have you looked into any of that MK
Yes,
Ultra
I have.
stuff?
I have actually. Yes.
Have you ever?
All right, let that run a little longer than I usually do, but I was very interested in that. It's very interesting. Here's the two things I noticed. When he was talking about would you ever tell, and Joe Rogan was saying, like, I would feel bad. I feel like I had a responsibility. I feel like I'd have to tell. And he goes, yep, someday. Like, what do you mean someday? And then when he was looking at the Bob Lazar thing, and he's like, oh, this is Bob Lazar's. This is the craft that he said that he worked on. It's like a replica of that. He was like, looks familiar. It's like, what do you mean looks familiar? How? How does it look familiar to you? I don't get it. Really, really interesting guy. But you know what I think? Here's what I think about aliens. Here's what I think. Based on what I've heard from Tucker Carlson, okay, that these things keep going back into the water. And they keep disabling nukes and other bombs of all sorts. They keep disabling them whenever there's always reports of somebody about to shoot something, about to do something, a missile, and it just gets shut down. What I think is all these UFOs that we're seeing, the reason they go back into the water is because that's where they're coming from. That's what I think. I think it's not us, but there's beings in the water that have a vested interest in us not blowing the planet up because they're in the planet. Why else would a species care if you blew up a planet? I don't know. That's just me. That's me. It's just it all. That's what makes sense to me. That's why there's talk of this weird civilization that was able to travel on the water and eventually they sunk into the water, which is Atlantis. That's why they talk about that thousands and thousands of years ago. That's why the UFOs keep going back into the water. That's why they're so interested in what we're doing. That's why they always disable weapons, is because it's a species that's in the planet that doesn't want us to blow it up. I've been saying this for years. My wife's heard me say it 1,000 times. My kids are going to hear me say it 100 times, hundreds of times. So much smarter to be inside the planet than it is to be outside of it. So here's a perfect analogy. You're inside your house. Why? Why don't you hang out on the roof of your house? Why not? Because there's more inside and it's safer than there is outside the house. When's the last time you saw someone just hanging out on their roof? And they're just like, well, this is my house. You'd be like, that's a psychopath. Why aren't they inside the house? Go as deep into the house as you can, because that's where you're safest. This is what I think. And I don't think they live in the water. I don't think it's, I don't think it's a black mermaid. The new mermaid, how she's a black girl. I don't think it's like some black girl down there who's a mermaid, and the merman and Aquaman and all that stuff. I think they go through the water and they keep going, and then eventually it gets dry again. Somehow, don't ask me the particulars, okay? I haven't written the script yet. But I think they're inside the planet. That's just what I think. And it's not that crazy. I know a lot of people talk about how crazy that sounds. Doesn't sound that crazy. You don't know when you go as deep as you can. You don't know what's in there. You don't know what caverns are in there. There's oceans underneath the earth. They're not just encased in rock. There's actual flowing water. There's huge caverns that have trees and support all sorts. Like there's so much there. And we don't know about any of it. All we know is the crust around our planet. That's what we know the most about. And we don't even know that well. So that's what I think. And I think that this billionaire guy does know something. And I think for sure Elon Musk knows something as well. For sure. Without a doubt. You're working on a space company, okay? You have access to being able to see the skies at all times. He has the same type of radar, maybe not to the extent that the U.S. military has, but to the extent of what NASA has. He's definitely seeing things, for sure. They just don't talk about it. They probably see UFOs, right? Because anybody who works in airspace is going to see UFOs from time to time, but it's just unidentified flying object. You don't know what it is. You just kind of look at it and you go, there was something there. You don't immediately assume it's an alien. It's just something. And you just got to make sure that whatever you're shooting into the air isn't going to intercept with that and cause some kind of calamity. That's it. I think for sure he's seen those. He just doesn't talk about it because he can't, because he's in line with NASA. And they do say, I do not know the Hebrew language, but they say in Hebrew, NASA means deceive. I don't know. I know so many people who speak Hebrew, and I've never verified that. But I've heard that 100 times. My Israeli friend just said that to me just the other day. He just wrote that to me because we were talking about some weird stuff. And he said that to me. I don't know. We'll see. But that's a big chunk, but that's not all they talk about. They keep going in regards to aliens. But, I can't play a clip all that long when it comes to the JRE. And I don't want to, because I want you guys to actually go and watch the episode. It's a great episode. And if you like what you've seen so far, like this video. And again, it's episode 2010. And I'm going to give you a timestamp. If you listen this long, I give you a timestamp. It's 12 minutes, 47 seconds, all the way to 21 minutes. That's what I just played, and it keeps going. And it went a little before that. So if you go from 9 minutes all the way to 30 minutes, you're going to hear a whole chunk of UFO talk, and it's always a good time to me. I love it. I absolutely love thinking about UFOs, where they're from. I love the fact that I've come up with this thing that they're coming from the water and that they're in line with us. You'd never know. You'd never know. I'm just saying, you would never know if there was something down in the ocean. How would any of us know? And going back to the distraction tactics of the government and all governments across the world, why would they tell you? They don't even tell you what they're doing. Why would they tell you what another subspecies or higher intelligence species is doing on the planet? They would just never tell you. They would never tell any of us, because it's not something that we need to know. Because guess what? If you knew that there was people deep, deep under the earth, okay? There's billions of us on this planet. Guess what? At least 1 million of us would be like, I want to live down there. I don't want to be here. I don't like it up here. And your rules, I want to go down there. If there was another planet to go to, there would be millions of people who would be like, I want to go with the other people, with the other species, because you guys are terrible. And I have to work all the time, and I hate it. There's so many. There's so many. If you knew there was other options beyond what we have, you'd be like, I want to explore the other options. I just do. This place is terrible. You guys are constantly threatening us with war. You're constantly poisoning us. Here's another thought. If you watch this far, you're getting a bonus thought. Okay, here's the bonus thought. Okay. What if the aliens have been watching us, looking at us for years and years and years, but what they're trying to do is save us, because they see what our government does. They see what's going on all around the world. They see the secret meetings and the secrecy and the secret groups and their plans and what they do behind closed doors. They see all of that, and they understand that the people, the billions of us, we the people, need saving. And that's why you see UFOs come every once in a while, because they're actually trying to save people. They're trying to figure out, how can we save this massive slave colony from these lizard people? I love it. I love exploring these ideas. Where's my wife when I need her? I love talking about this stuff with my wife. Next date night, you're going to hear a lot about this. But just think about that. What if they're trying to save us? They know, and they're trying. That's why they're so subtle, because they just send, just random ships of like, just trying to get, maybe imagine they're sending kamikazes to take out certain people in the worldwide government. That's why Klaus is so secretive. That's why George Soros is always like hiding in places, never just out in public, because the aliens are like, we gotta take those guys. We gotta get those guys. Kidding, of course. Those two gentlemen are great. I'm only joking. Anyway, guys, like the video. Helps so much. Boost us out of the shadow realm, because I keep talking like this and it gets me deeper into the shadow realm. And shout out to Eddie Bravo. I just saw that Eddie Bravo followed me. Hello, sir. This is a good episode for you. Let me know what you think if you're watching in the comments. And anyways, I am out. Episode 473. Let's go.